Estamos de regreso en Vis-à-Vis con Steve Zipperstein. Steve, before we were speaking about all the cyber attacks and the attacks that we saw against Sony.
Right.
But there is another side to this with Snowden.
Mm-hmm.
What can governments do to protect from these leaks and from the new wars that are being waged? You know, specifically North Korea against the United States with cyber attacks. What can we do to protect from those attacks?
Well, as the chief legal officer of BlackBerry, one of the best things governments can do would be to really take another look at BlackBerry as the solution for their mobile security needs. One very interesting thing that we've done recently is we bought a German company called Secusmart, which is based in Dusseldorf, and they make the micro SD chip that scrambles the voice calls of many of the important leaders in Germany. And we're now talking to governments around the world and offering the Secu Voice and Secu Suite solutions, which will secure their voice calls and secure their data on top of the already existing BlackBerry secure mobile platform.
There was a scandal with Angela Merkel, no? That her communications were tapped into at a certain point.
And it was not her BlackBerry, but it was a different phone, a non-BlackBerry phone that was provided to her by her political party. As a matter of fact, regardless of all of the information that's come out from Mr. Snowden, at least we're not aware of any information that any BlackBerry phones were ever hacked. Mm-hmm. So BlackBerry continues to be the leader, and many governments around the world are now coming back to BlackBerry. Many enterprises, sensitive enterprises, banks, insurance companies, hospitals, all of whom have sensitive information that needs to be protected from hacking and from intrusion, they're coming to BlackBerry and taking a really hard look at us. And what we've been doing over the last year and a half is really repositioning the company to refocus on our core strengths: security, productivity, the keyboard. We have some new devices that have hit the market. But really, we're pivoting away from our former reliance on hardware. We're pivoting away and focusing more on software. And software that manages not just BlackBerry devices, but software that can manage iPhones, that can manage Samsung phones and all devices in the most secure way.
But speaking of cyber attacks, I think that the great problem is that you cannot identify who is attacking you necessarily, and there are many walls.
That's right.
So is technology heading towards protecting countries and individuals for that purpose of being hacked? Where are we going in the future in terms of privacy and in terms of software and hardware?
So we need to strike the right balance between privacy and encryption and security. And BlackBerry is doing everything that we can to help governments sort through that balance and to strike the balance in the right way. Now, this issue of cyber hacking really has become quite sophisticated. The criminals are very clever, the hackers are very sophisticated, and there's really a cat and mouse game going on between the hackers and their targets, each one at every stage raising their game, raising the wall, and then raising their attempt to try to leap over the wall and to hack. But the one thing that's remained constant through this entire era of cyber hacking and intrusion is that the BlackBerry system has not been penetrated.
But that also pushes innovation. I mean,
That's right.
Throughout these debates, you have always a good side and a downside to technology.
Exactly.
The good side is that you have transparency, for instance, in government.
Right.
The downside is all this that we've spoken about, and then information is so much more accessible than before. So it's interesting because I was hearing an interview with the CEO from Google, and he was saying that we have to really strike a balance to allow innovation and not to stagnate as well that innovation.
That's right.
So how do you foresee the future, say 10 years from now? What is going to happen with our privacy? Are we going to lose it little by little, or what can we do to protect that freedom and that privacy that we have now? Where are we heading?
Well, I think where we're heading is that, first of all, we need to raise awareness, right? We need to make sure that children growing up who are using this wonderful technology that we have use it in a responsible way, and in a way where they are not unwittingly putting into the cloud, putting out there for the whole world to see the most intimate and personal details of their life. So first of all, we need to raise awareness about the vulnerability of some of this very, very personal information, but we also need to innovate the technology to improve our encryption, to improve our security. BlackBerry, of course, is the leader, I'm glad to see that other companies are trying to step up their game as well, not just to compete against BlackBerry. Competition, of course, is good for everyone, but because they also realize, as Google and others do, that they've really lagged in the area of privacy and security, and they need to do more to protect the information of their customers. It's not enough just to say to governments, please don't intrude on the privacy of our customers, because you have to protect your rights as well.
And the
After all,
civil society checks and balances, which you find in every democracy, has to be in store.
Absolutely right, because we also need to remember that governments have a legitimate right, of course, to protect the people from crime, from terrorism, and in the course of doing that, they have the lawful right to access information from time to time, with warrants, with subpoenas, and we see that all over the world. So we need to raise awareness, we need to improve technology, but we also need to realize that there is a role for government to play too.
I'll take a little break and we'll continue with the discussion.
Okay.